Yanic, thank you very much for joining me. Really appreciate your time. Before we sort of get stuck into your time at Norwich City, I thought we'd find out what you're doing now, because you're obviously playing football in Israel. It's not maybe a route that a lot of footballers who've played in England take. So tell us a little bit about Israeli football and how you're finding life over there.
I'll start with finding life. It's like, wow, it's very different than I expected it to be. When I came, especially the media coverage about Israel is not great. War country, blah, blah. And I did a lot of research. I asked a lot of people before I came here. And the country, wow, it's beautiful. Like always nice weather, close to the beach, nice food, nice people, like really nice. The football, it's actually all right. We have the top 6, I would say, are like good teams. Behind that, they are okay, but most of the time when they play the big teams, they have like bunkers, so it's hard to play. But yeah, like my team, Maccabi Haifa, is one of the biggest there. We always, before when they were supporters, they were always like 30,000 at home and 5 to 10 away. So it's football. It really lives in this country.
And how does it differ, or how is it different to English football? I guess is it quite similar in terms of physicality and quality and stuff like that?
Oof. So the physicality is here also. We have like some, especially against the big teams, everyone wants to play hard, and like it's not the same as in England. The level is much higher. I would say if you play against the top 3 or 4 teams, they are like good, like with the ball, technical as well. But below that, you just see like the quality difference. It's not like 90 minutes going like in the Championship or even like League One. So there's definitely a difference, but it's still it's not an easy league, and it's been good for me. I came here because I haven't really been playing a lot over the last couple of years, so I came here just to get my pleasure and my confidence and my everything back, just enjoying it really. And till now, that's been good. I've been playing regularly, and it's so that's the reason I came here. So for me, till now, it's good.
Yeah, that's good. And am I right in saying you're playing in the Europa League? So that must be a really exciting
qualifiers. We won the first 3 rounds, and then we got beat by Tottenham away in the last round. So it's we didn't make the group stages, but definitely those games are like a big plus when you come to these countries, because you always have the qualification rounds. And my first year, I think we lost in the second round, and now we lost in the 4th round. So it's we haven't been blessed with the luck to go to the group stages, but it's still a good experience to play against those teams. And
I bet it must have been quite something to play against Tottenham. If it was away at Tottenham, I presume you got to experience the new stadium, which is really wonderful.
Well, it's for me. It was away at Tottenham, but for me, I got Corona at that time, so I wasn't able to play. And from all the teams, like the big teams in the Premier League, I have played against except Tottenham, and it was in the new stadium. So for me, it was like, that was not nice. But in the end, it's hard, and I wanted to play, but the other guys here had like a really good experience, even though we got backed at like 7-2, I think. So, but it's still, it was still nice. Everyone was really, amazed really by and the level and just the facilities and everything. And that was my opportunity to go back to England for a little bit, but it has to wait a little bit longer then.
So you've had the virus. Are you fully recovered now? How badly did you have it? Were you sort of asymptomatic, or did you have it quite badly?
No, it was really weird because we played, and our doctor had it, and then everyone got tested, because when you play in the Europa League, you have to get tested every time before the game. So the doctor had it, no one had it, and then the next week, just before we played against Rostov in Russia away, I was the only one who had it, and I was, like, as you said, asymptomatic. I didn't have any like pain or any of the symptoms at all. So this was like, for me, it was really unreal, because I was like, I'm feeling good, like I can play. And if I was like feeling bad, I would have like been like, yes, I have it, so I can't really do anything. But I was feeling good, and I saw everyone go out first to Russia, and then I did another test to see if it was like a mistake or anything. And before the Tottenham game, I got tested positive again, and so I couldn't go there. And but in here, after 10 days, no symptoms, you can leave the house. So I was just good to go after 10 days, but I missed 2 of the big games. So that was So I was lucky I didn't have any symptoms. Yeah.
Was it quite frustrating, or was it quite scary when you tested positive?
I think both in the beginning, because you hear all about it, and then some people react really bad to it, and some people, as me, like now, didn't have any symptoms. So you're always a little bit afraid because, like, like I have it, what can happen? Like before, when you don't really like know how it feels, so you see other people have it and don't have it, you'll be like, it's just a flu. And then when you have it, it's always wondering how your body is going to react. And so the most frustrating for me was that I couldn't play those games. We played 2 home games against a Bosnian team and a team from Kazakhstan, and I was able to play. And then the nice trips to Russia and England, I had to let go. So that was the most frustrating part for me. But in the end, I was happy that I was the only one from the team, so we still had like a fighting chance so to say. But I was happy I got it over with, and now I'm just fully back.
Glad you've recovered okay. Let's talk about your time at Norwich then, because it was short, but there's a lot to sort of pack in, I think, in terms of stuff that happened not just to you but to the club and to the team generally. Let's talk about that move to Norwich, because I remember sitting on deadline day and the clock winding down and everyone was going, is it going to happen? Is it not going to happen? And then it finally did sort of come over the line. What was that day like for you? I can imagine it was quite frantic and quite busy.
Yeah, well, it's like even like the leading up to the day. Of course, in the beginning of the window, you hear of some interest, and there was some clubs, and then in the end, I think it was Derby County and Norwich who were like the last 2, and I had to make a decision where to go. And the talks I had with Alex Neil and Ricky Martin then really gave me that family feeling, and like I really wanted to play for Norwich when I left that meeting. I had a really good conversation also with Derby, but just the feeling they gave me, it made it just easier and the right choice for me to pick Norwich. So it was like, as you said, deadline day. Did all my tests in the morning, and then I had I think it was MRI in the evening, but it was like scheduled like around 8. So I was like, I think 2 hours or something in the machine. So I came out and I thought, well, this is done. And then I saw the doctor looking at me a little bit scared, like frightened, and I was like, oh no, don't do this to me. And he said, like, yeah, there are like 2 little things we need to check extra, because just to make sure it's procedure. So did the extra 20-25 minutes, and then the clock was ticking. So we were like literally racing from the hospital to the training ground, and all the papers were just like on the table, and I was just like signing everything, and then pop everything go through, and then they said like, oh, and I think like with 6 minutes to spare, they said like, yeah, it's gone through finally, and it was just like, wow. It was just sweat dripping off my head, my forehead, and it was just very hectical. But in the end, it was just, I was over the moon to get it done. Really, it's like such a big club wanted me, and it was a hectic day, as I said. But in the end, we all got there.
You spoke about the meeting you had with Alex Neil and Ricky Martin. What was it exactly that they said to you to really sell the club, to make you sort of choose Norwich over Derby, I suppose?
Just the people who work there, the vision of the coach. They told me about the club, about the city, everything really. I already had a taste when we played there with Wigan, and I think we just lost, I think. And I came on and I did all right. I played against Russell Martin, and when I signed, he said like, you owe me a percentage because I got you the move. So it was, I spoke to the coach, and he said like, listen, if I show you all the wingers I've signed, like you can see everyone has progressed. There is only one maybe who didn't really make it, and I feel really bad about it. But this happens also sometimes. And I was just but the ambitions with the club, the history, and the team at the time, it was just like such a quality team, and I just wanted to play for them, and that made it easier. Yeah.
Was it a difficult decision to leave Wigan? Because obviously you enjoyed such a productive and brilliant spell with them. Really, you were quite a favourite amongst the fans, weren't you?
Yeah, well, that was like one of the toughest moments I think in my career, and the way everything unfolded, like it was like a bit bad. Like it felt like I left them like deadline day. I even handed in a transfer request to make the move, and it's just this is what the people only see. Deadline day transfer request. I left the club. We were in a bad position, and it feels like it also. And I felt like also a little bit like I left the club in a bad position, and but sometimes in life some chances come by, and who knew if I was going to get the chance to play for like a club like this or anyone else in the summer, what can happen. And they had like a good run going to the playoff places, so I thought this is a chance to play Premier League football maybe also. And it's just I decided to go for it, whatever the consequences would be, and I got a fair bit of stick, but this is what comes, what came with it. And it was, as I said, it was a very hard decision to leave Wigan. I played, I think, till now in England my best football there, and I really enjoyed it with all the people at the club, with the players and everyone. But at the time, it was for me the best step to go to Norwich.
And in terms of arriving at Norwich, what sort of dressing room did you walk into? Because there were a lot of sort of experienced players that have played in the Premier League. Was that quite daunting, quite sort of scary walking into that dressing room, or was it quite welcoming? How was it for you?
It was really welcoming. Like everyone was really nice and kind for me. It helped that Mitchell Dykes came also at the same time, and so we were together. And obviously, you played against some of the players before, and it makes it easier to settle in. It was a bit different because there were a lot of like older players who had like really good careers and like really big characters in the dressing room, and a lot have happened also in that period where there was just like it was not a great place after a couple weeks, months to be, because there was so much friction and a lot of things went bad, and in the end we didn't make the playoffs either. So it's just but as I said, but I loved my the first half of the season there when I came, because everyone was really nice, and as I said, we play good football. It's just like some other things we're playing, and just made it hard for us to get the results. Then the coach got fired, and it's difficult. Then difficult period, and so it was it was all right. I was happy to go there and play and get used to it, and I thought I'm just going to get used to this, and then from the summer I will just kick on, and hopefully as soon as possible. But I was giving myself some time, so it was unfortunate how things ended with Alex Neil, because he was the one who brought me to the club.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned it there in terms of maybe the dressing room having a little bit of friction and maybe not being totally together. Did you sense that when you walked in it for the first time? Did you sense that maybe it wasn't a particularly happy dressing room? Because I think the perception from supporters was a little bit a group that was sort of underperforming and maybe struggling a little bit compared to the quality and the talent it had in that squad.
No, not really. When I came, and throughout the whole period till the end of the season, like the team with each other and like on a daily basis, it was all right, just like any normal team. It was just like sometimes when we didn't get the results or something would happen. Like it was you always have these moments in a team where things don't go as they will. I can tell it was much harder to be in a dressing room at Wigan with all the results, even though we had a great team. When you lose every week, sometimes you have some friction, and especially when you have like some older players who think about it one way, some younger players who another way, and then you have to like as a coach, it must be really difficult to deal with those type of things also. And in the end, it worked out as it worked out. Really, like we had to do the last 9, I don't know how many games without a head coach, and I think the assistant took over. And it was then just try finishing on as high as possible position we could, and just make sure we come back ready for the next season.
How did you find playing under Alex Neil? Because he's obviously gone on to do really well at Preston in the Championship. He brought you to the club. Was he a good manager to work under?
Yeah, in the beginning when we spoke, like he explained me about how he works and how we how much better he made the wingers and other players, of course, but in my case the wingers. And this is what the reason is I chose. And unfortunately, we didn't get that much time to work together. But when I see how he's doing with Preston, it's like impressive. They always doing well. It's a hard team to play against, and it looks like he made the right decision to go there. And I'm happy for him.
He was quite young, wasn't he, when he was at Norwich? Did you sense maybe a little bit of inexperience, or that he had some learning to do? Because I think everyone that sort of spoke about Alex Neil, I know sort of Bradley Johnson and different people like that who I think was before your time at the club, have sort of described him as being very good tactically. Did you sort of see those qualities in him from your time at Norwich?
Yeah, I must say, everything was like the meetings and how we worked on training was really good. I haven't been that long with him to say like, this was really good or this hasn't really been good. Also, I wasn't really at the stage in my career where I have seen a lot of different types of managers where I can say like this and he's really good at this or really good at that, or like I didn't see any like inexperienced signs because he's been a footballer himself. He's been like a couple of years at the club, gone to promotion, relegation, and fight again. So he knew the club, he knew the players because I think he brought most of them himself. So it's it's just one of them where in the end it didn't work out, and now he's doing well, and he's probably taking all the baggage and all the things he learned from Norwich into his new job and learning even more now and just applying it to Preston.
You mentioned that it was a dressing room at Norwich full of sort of big pros, big characters. How did he manage and deal with those characters and deal with that dressing room? Because as quite a young manager in only your second job in management, I can imagine that would be fairly difficult.
Well, I never seen anyone like or disrespecting or talking to him like they shouldn't be. Everyone knows he's the manager. He makes the decisions. Of course, everyone has sometimes don't always agree with what the coach says, but I think it's always been in a respectful manner. I haven't seen like the one-on-one conversations or like other, but for as far as I've seen, everyone always like gave him the respect he deserved and he's supposed to get. And from there, you always have the people like a Russell Martin who if he thought about something the other way, he would just discuss it in open. And if the coach said like, I understand what you say, but I'm the coach and we go this way, then no problem, But he was always open for people to, talk about it. And then he would like say why you would go with it or why you won't.
And your only goal that season came against Bristol City, didn't it? Which I think is his last game in charge. So do you feel that there's part of you that thinks you were quite unlucky at Norwich, because obviously you were brought in by one manager, suddenly he was gone, and then the whole structure of the football club changed in terms of going to a sporting director and a head coach model? Do you sort of reflect on your Norwich career thinking that maybe you were a bit unlucky?
Yes and no. Like this football, things work out like that. Like if I would have hit the ground running at Norwich, scored maybe say 8 goals, and he wouldn't maybe been effective. We got more like even not just me but also other players, and in football these things happen. Like coaches get fired. It was unfortunate for me that it was so close or so soon after he signed me, and we didn't get more time to work together. And then also Ricky Martin who left, and like a whole new structure. But as I said, this is how football goes, and this is what I've experienced before with other teams, where you get a new coach, new vision, new people in the board who change the clubs. And it was not great timing, I have to say, when I came. But in the end, I think I haven't. It's just how it goes, really.
How did you find that sort of end of the season after he left? Because it must have been fairly difficult with the fact that you didn't have a lot to play for, and none of the players really knew what the future looked like in terms of who the head coach was going to be, or maybe what direction the club was going to go, what their individual futures would be. It must have been a fairly uncertain time to play for the club.
It was and it wasn't. Like when the coach left, they just spoke to us and they said, "Listen, it's hard. We've been sacked for a reason. It's not just his fault, but we have to take responsibility as a group as well. The only thing we can do now is perform as best as we can, because the new coach is going to be watching, the new director is going to be watching, and if you want to be in next season, you're going to have to show everything you have, just to make sure that that you are in the plans of the next coach." And that worked in some games. I remember we played Reading at home, really good. We won like 7-1,
7-1, yeah.
7-1, yeah. And we have also, I think, some games, I think Fulham at home, where we lost, where we was like, wow. So I think everyone knew what, it's their own future as well. Like everyone wanted to stay at the club, or maybe some had decides to go to the Premier League, or I don't know what. But everyone knew, like, regardless, we want to finish on a high and make sure that they can't blame you or say like, oh, he didn't play well, so he's not in the plans. So that, as it's not really difficult to motivate yourself or anything when something happens. Most of the time it brings more motivation just to show that I'm here. This is my spot. I want to keep it. Even it doesn't matter which manager comes.
And how did you find when Stuart Webber obviously arrived from Huddersfield, and that's when sort of everything changed? Was there any sort of conversation between you and him, or even when Daniel Farke came in, you and him, in terms of your future or the role that they saw for you? Was there any sort of conversation about that?
Well, obviously, when a new coach comes, he has his own vision, wants to bring his own players, own system. And I remember when I think my agent spoke to Stuart, and he said like, this is the new coach. He's gonna play this system. We don't know if it's gonna suit Yanic. Like also with the financial problems at the time, they say if he can stay, and we really want him to stay. He's a nice guy. He's a good footballer, and he can fight for his place. But as a club point of view, like if he wants to go or someone comes in, we can't just decline it. We have to stay open for it. And at that time, I thought, I just came here. I haven't really shown everything I can in the my first 4 months. I think I just want to fight for what I'm worth. Make sure I leave everything on the pitch. And if in the end he says like, Yanic, you're not part of my you're not part of my plans, I'm sorry. Then even good friends is just But I think I did well in pre-season. I even started the first 2-3 games, I think. And then when the results not going our way, it was just like, going out of the lineup, and then come on. And it's just, the inevitable really, because I was just not really his type of player, really, actually. So it was, this is why I choose to leave also in January.
How did you find sort of the change from Alex Neil to Daniel Farke? Because I know quite a few players have spoken about particularly the intensity of training and how quickly and how radically that changed. How did you find that? Because it was supposedly quite intense.
Well, it was really intense. We doing long sessions and double sessions, and we came at the club at 9 and sometimes came home at 5, and maybe later. And it was just, but in the beginning it was hard, like the first 2-3 weeks, with a little bit, because German coaches are well known for their hard pre-seasons, and looking back at it now, it was hard, but it was good because there was always like a ball involved, and it's everyone was just really fit and ready to start the league. And so I think the biggest change was probably in the beginning, and then when you get used to it, your body get used to it, and then it's like normal. So it's but I understand why everyone was saying this is the biggest difference. Now I don't know how Alex Neil's pre-seasons were because obviously I wasn't there, but I think Daniel Farkas one was one of the toughest we had, especially with Chris in charge as the sports scientist. So it was it was hard.
Did you enjoy those long sessions and those intense sessions? Because I know perhaps some more of the experienced players found it quite difficult.
Well, yeah. Well, it wasn't as enjoyable as like normal because you work hard. But if you just like after a week or two, when you get used to it, then you see the difference. Like you can go further, where you feel stronger. Then it's worth it. And I was lucky; I didn't really go too much injuries at the time, so I was just like keep going, and getting stronger and fitter. So you know what you're doing it for, and so I understand maybe some of the older players who it was really hard. But even for the younger players, we had young players who were struggling with the intensity. Everyone was, but then as I said, you get used to it, and then it's just one of them where you just feel strong and you feel like it was worth it.
How did you find Daniel Farker to work for? Obviously, he's still at the club now. He's done a remarkable job, really, in terms of getting them promoted and obviously setting them up, hopefully, to do so again. How did you find him as a coach, and how different was he to maybe someone like Alex Neil?
Well, he's done a really good job, but it was, I think he made it clear from the first day we had a meeting, and he said, like, listen, I don't know about you guys, but I'm here to achieve extraordinary things, and I want to get promoted, and I want. So when someone comes in and gives all, obviously Norwich is a big club, but we knew where we're coming from. We had to cut the cost in budget, and he was bringing his own players, so we always have to wait and find out how everything goes. But it from the first moment you see like a driven coach who wants to make everyone a better player. He was good with the players, always in for a laugh. I had a good, even though I wasn't playing that much, I really had a good relationship with him. Always make the German Dutch jokes, and so this is as a coach and as a person, I really had a good time, and I enjoyed it under him. It was just in the end where it just playing wise didn't really work out. But besides that, I don't have any bad word to say about any of the people who came since he signed. And as you said, he did a really good job, and hopefully what he's doing now he can continue and keep them on top of the league.
As a player, do you notice the difference between, say, when a club has a manager as opposed to a head coach? Is that a noticeable difference for you as a player, or not?
No, not really. For me, it's like all the same. You have like the one is in charge, and every coach has their own vision, their own philosophy, and how they want to do things. And obviously, they were different in coaching styles, and it just whatever suits you more as a player. I think Alex Neil's style suited me more than Daniel Farkas one, but I think I became a better player by doing some of the stuff we did with Daniel Farkas, because it was just the training, everything has like meaning behind it and like patterns, and you just knew what you were going to do. And by repeating it, like I felt like I became a better player in like the smaller spaces, when normally I was like one who just needs like loads of space and then I can just run. But it made me a better player in like the short spaces. And his style works for Norwich, because he got them promoted and now he's doing well again. So So I think the club and Stuart Webber and everyone made a good choice signing him.
And in terms of sort of on the training pitch, how was he as a coach? Was he quite sort of thorough with his sessions? Was he someone that was quite demanding from your perspective?
Yeah, wow, he could very demanding, and he was always walking around. And then in the beginning we go out with Chris, and then with Eddie for some like passing, and then when the possession and the game come, this is where he was really, becoming involved and just make sure everyone knows what they need to do, and let you know when what what you need to do. And if you make a mistake, then he will tell you, but if you do good, he will tell you also. And there was also a lot of fun in between, like with games during the training sessions, where you can earn Champions League points, and then the loser after a week have to take the plates of the winners, and just those like little competitions who get the atmosphere in the team going. And it helped really, because it helped a lot because everyone was getting along really well. And so I think on that part he did well. Yeah.
Did you see a different sort of atmosphere in terms of the dressing room from perhaps the end of your first season with the club to your second one? Was there a noticeable shift in the way the atmosphere around the club changed?
Yeah, I think because there's also like a lot of players left, like the older players, and the younger players came in, foreign players come in, and they were all little younger, and it was just like this, the players who stayed and the foreigners who came, it just like blended well. I remember going, like, we had maybe 2 hard weeks, and then we would say, like, on a Saturday, should we go do something in town? And I think like almost all the Germans came out, and it was just like, good, because sometimes they would like, no, I'm okay, I stay home. But like from the first moment, everyone just got involved, and just was like a good chemistry. And it's not like it wasn't there at the season before, but it was a little bit different, I think. But the biggest part for that is also like those people were there at families, and who were and this were all like, they came alone from Germany, so it's easier to say like, okay, I'll come, I don't want to sit home alone. But as I said, from the atmosphere is really good.
Could you see from sort of that half spell you had under Daniel Farke in the first season, could you see what he was trying to do and where he was trying to take the club? And did you think he'd end up having the success that he did in sort of the second season with the club where he won the title?
You could see what he was doing. We were playing really good football. We were just like conceding a lot. I remember coming back for my second season in pre-season, and we had like a video meeting, and he was showing us all the statistics, like possession, one of the top, chances created, one of the top, and all those things. And he said like, and then you saw like goals conceded, it was like a lot also. And he just said, if we can get this one down like to like one of the top, I'm sure we get promoted. And that's what he basically did the next season. He improved the defensive bit, and then still got the high numbers, and in the end he got promotion. So it took him a little bit. And did I knew it was gonna work? I'm not sure, because you always have to see how a foreign coach for the first time goes to England, and don't really pick all the English players, but come with people from Germany who never played in England, how they were gonna adjust and all. But in the end, it was like everything went well.
Absolutely, and you mentioned it there, and in sort of his first season, you did start quite a lot. And a memorable game that perhaps Norwich fans remember you for is that obviously win at Sheffield United, and obviously everything that happened afterwards with Chris Wilder, their manager, and he wasn't too happy with you guys that day. But that must have been a really special day for you, and you must have felt like that had kind of kickstarted your Norwich career, I suppose, because it was an excellent goal and an excellent win that you were involved with.
Yeah, I think I had like a good pre-season. Like I got turned on. I got turned from a left winger to a right wing back. So this is like a little adjustment I had to make. I think the last couple of games of pre-season I did well. I think it was Charlton and Brighton at home, I started and I had the feeling like, oh, it's going well. I might start in the league. Then we play Fulham away the first game of the league, and I remember putting 2 on Molly Watkins' plate, and I was like, wow, if he scored this, I could start with 2 assists, and then, I couldn't ask for a better start, but we drew with Nelson scoring in the last minute. And then I think we lost at home against Sunderland quite bad. And then it was like hard because I wasn't playing on my own position, so I couldn't really showcase my real game, because as a left winger, you know what you've been doing for your whole career, and then being turned to like a half defender, it's hard. But I wanted to do this because I wanted to play, and it looked like a position where I have a lot of freedom going forward. And but I just had to make the defensive. How do you say this? The defensive
Improvement.
improvement, as you said, yeah. And but then when we changed system to like with 3, with wingers and for me it changed. And that game I started to play, and I think I played well that game. I scored. And I thought like, wow, now I'm, I've shown I can play, I can start, and I want to start. And then it's just I didn't really get the game time after. Really, I think we played a cup game. I came on, and then I thought, well, for sure I will play the next league game, and I didn't. So it was just like, those type of things where you be like, you can't really kick on. Like if you would get like a spell of games. Maybe after that game I was on a high, and then I would done really well, but now it didn't, and I kind of just got like caught back a little bit, and that's it is what it is. I always say it's can't change anything about it now, but that certainly I think was one of my best games for Norwich. Yeah.
Do you reflect on your Norwich career? I mean, you mentioned there it being sort of quite stop-start and you being sort of in and out. Was that quite frustrating? Was it a frustrating spell in your career for you?
Yeah, but it's. I think it's like people only see what's happening on the pitch. They don't really see like what happening around it. I remember just after the game, a little bit, like a couple of weeks after the game, my wife had some problems with the pregnancy, and there was like a time where I had like long days, didn't sleep at night because I have to take care of the wife, of the kid, and everything else. So I when I went to training, I was tired and I couldn't show what I really was about. And when there was times to like kick on and say like, yes, I couldn't play as I wanted, because there was too many things really like, holding me back a little bit. And I think that is that's also a part what I think what cost me in my Norwich career, where the moments that I got the opportunity to show it and that I just couldn't provide because of the things what happened outside of football, and just not being good enough to show it at the time. So yes, it is a start-stop, but it's like a combination of a lot of things. I wouldn't just put it like that. I would play and then I wouldn't play, but it didn't help.
I noticed at the start of the chat you said you went to Israel to sort of enjoy football again. Did you feel like, not necessarily the spell at Norwich, but did you feel that sort of period in your career you kind of lost enjoyment for it a little bit? Like
it's like maybe a little bit. Like it's not like the enjoyment because I love football and I enjoy doing it. Was just like I haven't been playing that regularly all the time, where I just get like, when I was at Wigan, I knew whatever happened, I would play like every Saturday, every Tuesday, it doesn't matter, I would play. And I just missed that feeling when I came to I think my last club at Bolton. I just missed so much game time really. When I had to start, I just needed time to get back up and to the normal and the old Yanic. And because I didn't show in the game, I think I started good with 2 goals in the first 2 games, but it was just after, when I got the chance to do it as a starter, I just couldn't, because I missed that rhythm and just the match fitness and just being my normal self. And when my contract expired, it's I have to say there weren't like loads of clubs wanting me to go there, and maybe I thought maybe a change of scenery might do good to me, like somewhere where I can be hopefully the main man again. Just whatever happens, just play all the games in the league, and then we'll see what it gets. And even when I came here, the first half of the season I was playing, but I wasn't like playing as I used to be, like the player I used to be. And after after the halfway, really, then I started to finding my feet and being the old Yanic again. And this is when it really like was enjoyable again, where I was making goals, giving assists, playing every week, and being loved by fans, by the club. And that feeling is just something I missed over the years, because I simply didn't, show my qualities for that long time. And this is why I'm happy I made the choice to come here.
You mentioned there sort of returning to the old Yanic. Is when you say the old Yanic, is that something that you think Norwich City saw, or that you showed to Norwich City, or are we talking about sort of old Yanic being at Wigan?
No, I think it is the Yanic Norwich signed. I remember speaking, and they said the game I played against Huddersfield with Wigan. That's like also one of the best games I think I've played in my career, and they watched, and this is like for them it was the one that they say, okay, listen, we want to sign Yanic. And I think I started okay, and at Norwich when I came, I really got the feeling like everyone enjoyed me being there. Like they were like, oh, he's gonna be an addition to the team, and it's not like people were like, oh, he's coming for my position. Blah, blah. Everyone was just really helpful, like the Murph brothers, or who they know I came for their position, and they were just so helpful and becoming really good friends on and off the pitch. And it's just I never really got to show the Norwich fans like what I'm really about, or like the level I got, what got me the move to Norwich. And that's something I regret really, like that I came there for like for a big fee, and I was coming there with all the in the right mindset and everything. It just didn't work out for, like, as I said, several reasons. But this is the thing that I couldn't show the club the faith they had in me, and the supporters what I can. So that's something what I regret in my career later when I look back at my time at Norwich.
I was going to ask you about the fee, because obviously I think it was probably slightly less than the 7 million that got reported. But did you feel a sort of expectation upon you because of the money that Norwich sort of brought you in with? Did that weigh you down a little bit? Did you think about that, or did it not really affect you?
Well, it's a hard one, because at the time you think it doesn't affect you, and I have never had the feeling it affected me. But when I look back at it now, as I go older, more experienced, and going to different, it's like maybe I subconsciously, thought about it a lot, because I came in the middle of the season, and then I got brought also for the longer term. But I had to be there from the get-go, because we needed to go for the playoff places. And I think at the time it was just because when I left Holland, it was like the three years before that, and when they saw Yanic got bought they made it even worse in Holland for 8 million to Norwich, and they were like, "What? Yanic is going to Norwich for 8 million? Like he didn't even play there, or And then I was like, "Wow." So as I said, subconsciously maybe I thought about it a little bit and got dragged me down, but at the time I never really had the feeling, or that it was gonna. That I was thinking about it too much, or I have to do it. I think it's just how the club was with me, like how they say, like how they treated me. They were just like, Yanic, everything is just do your game. Don't worry about it, and let's make the best of it.
And in terms of when you took the decision to go out on loan, I think your last game for Norwich was in the FA Cup, wasn't it? I think against Chelsea, if memory serves. At what point did you decide that you needed to go out on loan, and why did you pick Bolton? I guess because at the time they were in a lot of trouble financially, weren't they?
Well, I decided to go on loan because I didn't really get any game time at the time, and as I this is one. I didn't go to Bolton, and then I went to Cardiff. I got a lot of phone calls.
Quite right, yes.
I got a lot of phone calls from Neil Warnock who said, "Can I come?" And they were second in the league, and I think at the time Norwich was 14th. In the beginning, I couldn't really believe it because I wasn't really playing under Daniel at Norwich, and to like a team second in the league wanted me, and just the way Warnock spoke to me, it was just. I remember always thinking about this guy. He's a lunatic. He's not 100%, and then once you get to know him and work under him, you'll be like, wow, he's one of a kind. He's like a special person. And everyone who I speak about him, they always say it. And I was like, listen, this is probably one of the best managers you could wish for, because how he is with his team, how he is with everything. He said, like, listen, don't worry about anything else but playing. I take everything. I don't care. They can call me whatever they want. They can do whatever they want. You just make sure you play. And yeah, so to come back on that, I wasn't playing at Norwich, and I could go to Cardiff. The club could make some room with my wages for some players. So I was like, maybe this is my chance to get promoted to the Premier League.
Which of course they did. Did you feel a little bit disappointed when they did get promoted that they didn't come back knocking and give you a chance in the Premier League?
Yes and no. Of course you hope you're gonna you can stay. This was also like there was an option if they would get promoted and the club wanted me, they could buy me. But I didn't do as much, I think, to deserve a move to the Premier League. And Warnock was really honest with me. He said, like, listen, there's a lot more money came available for us to sign players. He said, like, so we're going to look at it there. And if in the end of the window there is a possibility, we can come back for you. But to be, if I'm honest with you, I wouldn't wait for it, because you never know if it's gonna happen. And so I appreciate that he was honest with me, because and obviously I was a little bit disappointed, but I was also happy that I was part of a Premier League promoting team. So it was one of them where I already knew the chances were slim to stay there, but regardless of that, I really enjoyed my time there.
And when you got back from Norwich after that loan, were the conversations very honest again in terms of your future and maybe how they saw you fitting into the team and whatnot?
Yeah, it was basically the same as the year before. They said, like, if you want, you can stay. You're part of the team. But if you can go somewhere where more game time is guaranteed, that's something you can look at. So I was like, I'm gonna go for my I'm gonna go for it again. And then I knew from the beginning that with the new players coming, and that I didn't really was going to be part of the plans. And then Bolton came with the. I remember having the conversation where they said, like, we had difficult problems financially, but they're all solved now. For the first time in a few years, we signed a player, like I think it was Josh McGuinness at the time, the striker. And that's all going to be covered. And I had the safety of I was on loan, so I would always get my wages. And the story, when I came there, it sounded really good. Like I was going to play on the left. They were going to get a left back who was going to be, supportive of me, that I can do my thing, and then, leave the defensive part also, to him, not everything, but he would help me. And going back to like the Manchester area where my family enjoyed it while we lived there, and so it just made it a little bit easier. And the start, I think it was unbelievable. We got like loads of wins in the beginning, and that was important for the team. And then the financial problems came, and in the end, it turned out to be a nightmare. Yeah.
How difficult was that as a player to? I don't know necessarily if they sort of promised you that, and like you say, you had the security of being on loan, but to see sort of, I guess, a lot of your teammates not get paid and that sort of situation, that must have been an incredibly difficult period for you.
Yeah, it was hard for me, but the hardest for me was seeing the other people. Like we had a team where there were a lot of older players, and they had like loads of years in the game. So it's not like they lived from paycheck to paycheck. So for them, it was like a good thing. So they weren't desperate for money. It's not nice when they take the money from you. No, that's not nice. But it's not like they were in like big financial problems. The under 21s had like a little bit more problems with that, or like the chefs or the kit man or the people in the physios. But it's just after a while, it's like the things. What I remember people saying, like the wife of a player went to the supermarket, and one guy who works there said like, "Oh, can you afford those groceries? Now your man is not, your husband is not paid for like a couple months," and it's just all those things would make it hard, like the outside bit, because everyone has an opinion, everyone wants to say something, and you go into the dressing room, and it was me and two other players who were on loan, so we were like, listen, whatever you do and decide to do, we are with you, but don't expect us to, um, have our say in these things, because we get our money, and we don't know how you all feel. And that was hard, because it was like, every time they said on Friday they're gonna pay Monday, on Monday no, we're gonna pay Friday. If it's not on Monday, for sure Tuesday. And every time we had in the team, we were like discussions: are we gonna play? Are we gonna train? There was a point like where if you want to come, you can come. If you don't want to come, it's also good. And so it was just a very tough situation. Then we had someone who said he was gonna buy the club. Then it was even more trouble when he tried to buy the club. He go away. So it was just it was like a soap. Every week there was something else wrong. Then we had no food. We had we had a repossession of vans on the training ground. It was just you would wake up and you think, oh, what's gonna happen today in this episode of. But in the end, I just admired all the players who, got through it. But as I said, it's basically the same as when the coach, when Alex Neil got fired, and Norwich, everyone knew, listen, we're in a bad situation, but in the summer we could go for a little fee, we can go for free. So it's just like play, show the best, so you can have a future with another club. So everyone just tried to keep that in mind. But if you go to the club not knowing if you were training that day or not, it's just hard to keep fit or keep motivated. So this is why I have a lot of respect for everyone who like didn't get their money and fought to the end, really.
Yeah, I remember the story coming out about there being no food at the training ground and stuff, and it was just not a very nice time. But if we sort of go through to your release from Norwich, I guess from your perspective, maybe given the fact you'd had 2 loan spells and were sort of in and out of the team, that news that they weren't going to renew your contract maybe didn't necessarily come as a particular shock to you.
No, it was for me. It was pretty clear that they were not going to sign me, or they're going to give me a new deal, and I accepted that, and I wouldn't give myself a new contract, I think, if I was in their position, because if you see like what I really contributed to the team in my 2.5 years, I think 2 goals, maybe 1, maybe none assist. I think that's not enough to give someone a new contract. And Of course, I would have wanted to be different, be like an important player and leave on a high, like James Madison or like Josh Murphy, Jacob, and all the other players. But it's not all the way. It's not always sunshine in football, and sometimes you have to go through the dark days to appreciate the good ones. So it really, in the end, it was like a very, very, very it's a good time in my career. Like, I enjoyed my time while living in Norwich and playing for them, and it shaped me as a man, as a person and footballer also. And I'm always grateful for them to sign me and bring me to the club.
See, I think you've sort of answered my next question. I was going to ask you, sort of with the benefit of hindsight, knowing how sort of that spell went at the club, was there any part of you that regretted it? But I guess from your answer there, it's a clear no.
No, I when for every club I signed in, when I signed there, it was with 100%, complete with my head. And in the end, you never know how things end, and that's the beauty of it. And sometimes you make the right choices, and sometimes the right choices don't go as you want. And I've met some amazing people over there. I've played some beautiful games there, and this is something I will cherish forever.
It must be nice to see a fellow Dutch player doing quite well there. Tim Krul, obviously at the moment. I don't know if you know him, but I suppose it's quite nice for you to see another Dutch player doing quite well there.
Yeah, I don't know him personally. Of course, he is a big name in Holland, especially after the big clubs he played for, and now for Norwich. And I'm happy he's getting the recognition, also being playing every week, and even in the national team now. So that's good to see. But as I said, I follow the players who I've played with, and I'm still in contact with Teti, Francic, and the Sean, the physio, or then the chef. So it's nice to still speak to people who are there. And I just, as I said, I follow my old teammates. I watch when Norwich play or how they do, and it's searching sometimes to see who is starting, because some of the players obviously I don't know, who are new. But as I said, always good feelings when I think about Norwich.
Alex Teti, you mentioned him there. I think this is probably the last year of his contract. I think he said that he probably plans to retire after this, but I think he said that about 4 times before, right? So you can never trust him, but it must be nice to keep in contact with him, because he seems like a great guy.
Yeah, Alex is one of the best you will meet. He is such a nice guy, and he always, I think people don't appreciate or see how good he is. Like, and so what a fighter he is. Also, like when I think when Farke came, it was he wasn't playing, and then in the end he just knew Alex needed to play for balance, and it's just he's been playing almost ever since. And this is just what you have with Teti, and when he's fit, he's always an addition to the team. And I don't know if he's going to retire this season. We should see. As you said, we have to find out. I wouldn't be surprised if he signed another 2-year deal or something.
Yeah, he always seems to do it, doesn't he? So he's going. This is it this time, and then he turns up with another 2-year contract. So it's. But he's been at Norwich for such a long time, so it's brilliant to see. I just ask you a couple more. Russell Martin, first and foremost, someone that you played with, obviously now gone into management in League One with MK Dons. No real shock for you, I guess. I think everyone that speaks about Russ isn't particularly surprised that he's ended up in management.
No, it's when I see him now, especially now Carlton and Louis Thompson and Cameron, Jerome are there. It's just nice to see how well he's doing, and how he's doing in his first job in management. And I hope he continues to do well. It's like one of the nicest guy I've seen, and he was there from the first day I came to the club. And if there was anything like I could call him if I needed a hairdresser for my wife, or if I needed a new car, like Russell knew everyone and anyone, and if you needed something, you could go to him. And as I said, I'm really happy everything is working out for him now at MK, and I hope he don't forget about me if some point in the future I need a club.
Well, I was going to say to you, you're only 29. So is there part of you that maybe sees a route back into England? Would you like to come back to England at some point?
Yeah, I think so. I really enjoy my time in Israel. It's nice, but I'm still 29, as you said, and I came here just to, I'm playing for a really good big club now here, and I'm enjoying my football. But who knows if the challenge from England calls? I would always be open to it, and so yeah, we just have to find out and wait and see what's going to happen. These are difficult times at the moment. So for everyone, for clubs, I have so many friends who don't have a club at the moment. So it's I'm in a fortunate situation to have a club now. And but as you said, England will always have a place in my heart. So if there's a call from England, then I will always answer that.
Good stuff, Yanic. Thank you very much for your time. I really appreciate it. Thanks for joining me.
You're welcome. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.